Hare Krishna, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnavon ki jai. Today we are going to study the verse number 10 of the 6th chapter of Bhagwat Gita as it is. The name of this chapter is Dhyan Yog, which means to meditate on the Supreme Lord. In this chapter, Krishna is teaching us the way to control the mind by the process of Ashtang Yoga. Before we start today's verse, let us quickly do a recap of the previous 9 verses. In the first verse of this chapter, Krishna gave us the definition of a sannyasi and yogi. Krishna said that a sannyasi is that person who is neither attached to the fruits of his work nor to the work as well. He does all his work only to please Krishna. Further, Krishna has clearly said in this verse that a person who does not light fire and does not do his prescribed duties is neither a sannyasi nor a yogi. Then in verse number 2, Krishna said that a yogi and a sannyasi are same because a person who has renounced the worldly things and is always meditating on the Supreme Lord is a yogi. This way, a sannyasi and yogi are same, and unless a person has renounced the worldly things, he cannot meditate on the Supreme Lord. Then in verse number 3, Krishna explained about the 2 levels of Ashtang Yoga. Initial level is called Yoga Rurukshu and the advanced level is Yoga Rudha. In the initial level, the practitioner has to follow the process of Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, and along with it, he has to do Nishkam Karma, which means Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, and he must do Nishkam Karma Yoga. And when the person is able to control his mind by following these processes, then he reaches to the level of Dhyan, Dharana and Samadhi. Samadhi means the mind is completely in control and concentrates only on the Paramatma. And in this stage, the yogi may leave the Nishkam Karma because at this level, he should not do any work which might deviate him from the spiritual path. Then in verse number 5, Krishna advised us to elevate to the spiritual platform with the help of controlled mind. Krishna said that the mind is our friend and enemy both. Controlled mind is friend and an uncontrolled mind is enemy. After this, Krishna explained the 3 levels in the Yoga Rudha stage of Ashtang Yoga from verse number 7 to 9. Krishna said that the people who do not get affected by the temporary external conditions of this material world like happiness, distress, loss, gain, heat, cold, and honor or dishonor, and continue their spiritual activities as directed in the scriptures. Such people are to be understood in the primary stage of Yoga Rudha. And when a person is steadfast in this level, then he gradually sees gold, stone, or mud with equal vision. For him, there is no difference between mud, soil, or gold because he knows fully well that Krishna is everywhere and this material world is meant for Krishna's enjoyment. So, for such a person, everything is same, be it gold, stone, or mud. After having said this, then Krishna explains the topmost stage of a Yoga Rudha person. Krishna says that a person who sees every person, be it a well-wisher, a friend, an enemy, a relative, a pious, and a sinner with the same vision is the most advanced yogi. Here we need to understand that why this person is called the topmost advanced yogi. The reason is this, that any intelligent person who has the slight knowledge of the temporariness of the material world will never get attracted to any material thing. For him, everything is same because everything is temporary and he remains unaffected in all situations. For example, if he has money and wealth, then he offers everything to Krishna. But if he doesn't have, then he doesn't crave for it. Now, a person who is further advanced from this person is the one who sees all persons with the same vision, be it a well-wisher, a friend, an enemy, a relative, a pious sadhu, or a sinner. Earlier it was the sameness in material things, but now it is the sameness of vision in all varieties of people. This is the most difficult thing to practice. Our behavior changes with every person, so we know how difficult it is to practice to see everyone with the same vision. This is possible when only a person sees the Supreme Lord residing in everyone's heart and he sees nothing else other than the Paramatma. This is the most advanced yogi. Now we have properly understood the three different levels of a yoga-rooಢ person. In today's verse, we will come to know how does a yogi reach to the advanced stage and what does he do. Now let us recite the verse number 10. Yogi yunjit satatam atmanam rahasi sthitah ekaki yat chittatma nirashir aparigraha. Yogi yunjit satatam atmanam rahasi sthitah ekaki yat chittatma nirashir aparigraha. Yogi yunjit satatam atmanam rahasi sthitah ekaki yat chittatma. Krishna says that a transcendentalist should always try to concentrate his mind on the Supreme Self. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. Nirashir aparigraha. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness. Yogi yunjit satatam atmanam rahasi sthitah ekaki yat chittatma nirashir aparigraha. Now let us read the Anvay given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki jai. Yogi, a yogi, yunjit, should absorb in trance or samadhi. Satatam, always. Atmanam, the mind. Rahasi, in a solitary place. Sthitah, situated. Ekaki, living alone. Yata chittatma, controlling his mind and body. Nirashihi, free from desire. Aparigraha, not accepting sense objects. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that being free from desire, the yogi, while residing alone in a solitary place, controlling his mind and body and rejecting all sense objects, and always absorbs his mind in trance, is a yogi. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that beginning from this verse, Yogi Yunjit, up to the verse ending with Sa Yogi Paramo Matah, that is, till the verse number 32 of this chapter, Dhyan Yoga, Sri Bhagwan explains the process of meditation or Dhyan Yoga along with its other process. a yogi's mind should be fixed in trance. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that after explaining the symptoms of one who is adept in yoga, that is, yoga rudha, Bhagwan gives instruction on the practice of yoga. Bhagwan says that a practitioner of yoga should withdraw his mind from the objects of sense enjoyment and practice Nishkam Karma Yoga, offering the results of his action to Bhagavan. In this way, he should try to fix his mind in samadhi, meditating deeply on Sri Bhagavan. He should perform his sadhana without any material desires, and with staunch renunciation. He should reside in a solitary place, controlling his mind, and refrain from all activities that are unfavorable to yoga. By reading the Anvay given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, we have clearly understood that a yogi should be living in a solitary place, and that too all alone, fixing his mind into the Supreme Lord. Now, by reading Srila Prabhupada's purport, we will understand how this can be done. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnavo ki jai. Now let's start reading the purport given by Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada in his purport explains to us that Krishna is realized in different degrees as Brahma, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna consciousness means concisely to be always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. But those who are attached to the impersonal Brahman or the localized super soul are also partially Krishna conscious, because impersonal Brahman is the spiritual ray of Krishna, and super soul is all pervading partial expansion of Krishna in the form of Paramatma. So Prabhupada says that the impersonalist and the meditator are also indirectly Krishna conscious. Now Prabhupada says that a directly Krishna conscious person is the topmost transcendentalist, because such a devotee knows what is meant by Brahman or Paramatma. His knowledge of the absolute truth is perfect, whereas the impersonalist and the meditative yogi are imperfectly Krishna conscious. Srila Prabhupada says that a Krishna conscious person is the topmost yogi because he has the knowledge of Brahma, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and he never desires to own anything in this material world. Neither he rejects anything. He has the perfect knowledge that everything belongs to Krishna, so he uses everything lovingly in the service of Krishna. This way, he is a full-time absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna, and this way he is a perfect yogi. Yogi means who is connected with the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada further says that impersonalists or jnanis and the meditators or the dhyanis, they will also sooner or later become perfect yogi, because at the present time they are engaged in the divine effulgence of the Paramatma form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they are serving the Lord partially. But a time will surely come that they will also attain the topmost perfection of yoga. Prabhupada elaborates that knowing Brahma, Paramatma, and the Supreme Lord is like knowing the sun rays, the sun globe, and the residing deity of the sun planet, that is Vivaswan. The sun rays, the sun globe, and the sun god are non-different and inseparable from each other. Sun globe and the sun god are non-different and inseparable from each other. The sun rays is the divine effulgence of the Supreme Lord, which is omnipresent in the form of the five elements of the material nature, that is, earth, water, fire, air, and sky. Then the sun globe is the localized Brahman who resides in the heart of everyone. And then finally the sun god, that is the Supreme Lord, who is Nandanandan, Yashodanandan, who eternally resides in Golok Vrindavan Dham. Prabhupada says that the impersonalists or the Dhyan yogis, they are also concentrating on the Lord in partial manner. This is why they are imperfect yogis, but sooner or later they will surely become perfect yogis, because at least they are focusing on the impersonal form and Paramatma form of the Supreme Lord. These impersonalists are Nirakarvadis, and they believe that God is formless, and the Dhyanis, with the power of meditation, they concentrate on the Supreme Lord as Paramatma residing in their heart. In today's verse, Krishna has said that the Dhyan yogis must be in a secluded place and they must stay alone, away from all the distractions of the material world, so that they attain the ultimate goal, that is, to be in communion with the Supreme Personality. Srila Prabhupada explains to us that the first business of a transcendentalist is to keep the mind always on Krishna. One should always think of Krishna and not forget even for a moment. Concentration of the mind on the Supreme Lord is called samadhi or trance. And in order to concentrate the mind, one should always remain in seclusion and avoid all kinds of disturbance by external objects. He should be very careful to accept favorable and reject unfavorable conditions that affect his realization. And in perfect determination, he should not hanker after unnecessary material things that entangle him by feelings of possessiveness. All these things need to be observed by a Dhyan yogi. Very clearly it has been said that one should always think of Krishna and not forget him even for a moment. And in this perfect determination, he should not hanker after unnecessary material things that entangle him by the feeling of possessiveness. That means he needs to be desireless of all the material things, and he has to be always in concentration. He has to concentrate his mind only on Sri Krishna, staying in a secluded place. Now let us understand it little more in detail. This is extremely important for a transcendentalist or a Dhyan yogi to stay away from the hustle bustle of the material world, so that he doesn't get entangled in the attractions of the material things. And for this reason, it is strictly advised to a Dhyan yogi to stay in a secluded place, and that too all alone, so that there is no possibility of any kind of distraction. Srila Prabhupada says that forest is recommended for a Dhyan yogi because forest is considered to be a place of goodness. City is considered to be a place of passion, where all sorts of material attractions are displayed to trap people. And then comes the temple, which is a place that is far above the mode of goodness and passion. Temple is a place of Shuddh Satogun, or pure goodness. In today's verse, Krishna has mentioned the place and the process by which a yogi, a dhyan yogi, can attain his highest goal, which is called the topmost perfection in yoga root stage. And this is going to be helpful to him for self-realization. And this position is got after much endeavor, like staying all alone in forest and by concentration on the Supreme Soul. Now, if we think about it in today's world, nobody can do it. It is not practically possible to go to a forest and live all alone and meditate on God. This was the process of Satyug. And we have the example of Dhruv Maharaj, who was guided by Narad Muni, who meditated on God in a forest by chanting the mantra of Om Namo Bhagwate Vasudevaya Namaha. And in just 6 months, God appeared in front of him. But in today's time, no one can do it. Prabhupada says that the position acquired by a dhyan yogi after much strenuous efforts is easily got by a devotee of the Lord. A devotee of the Lord is always engaged in the loving service of the Lord, since he has the complete knowledge that Krishna is omnipresent in the form of his divine effulgence. Then he is present as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and simultaneously he is Yashodanandan, he is Nandanandan. Srila Prabhupada says that having this knowledge makes a devotee a perfect yogi. He doesn't need to go to any forest to meditate. Rather, he is always in the company of devotees and listens to Krishna Katha, Kirtan, and has Krishna Prasadam. For a devotee, living in seclusion means to be in the association of devotees and never be in the company of non-devotees. So a devotee always stays mentally away from the non-devotee. Srila Rupa Goswami beautifully illustrates the quality of a devotee from Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Asaktasya vishayan yatha aham upayunjatah nirbandham Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate prapanchit takaya buddhya hari sambandhin vastunah mumukshubhi parityago vairagyam falgu kathyate. It means that when one is not attached to anything, but at the same time accepts everything in relation to Krishna, then one is rightly situated above possessiveness. Anasaktasya vishayan yatha aham upayunjatah nirbandham Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. But on the other hand, one who rejects everything without the knowledge of its relationship to Krishna is not as complete in his renunciation. Prapanchikataya buddhaya hari sambandhi vastunah mumukshuhubhi parityago vairagyam falgu kathyate. Means false. His vairagya is false. His renunciation is false because he does not have the knowledge that everything belongs to Krishna. And without having this knowledge, when a person rejects everything, his renunciation is supposed to be a false renunciation. Srila Prabhupada says that a Krishna conscious person very well knows that everything belongs to Krishna, and so he is always free from the feeling of personal possession. He never wants to acquire or accumulate anything. He has no hankering for anything on his own personal account. He knows how to accept things in favor of Krishna consciousness and how to reject things unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. Very, very simply, Srila Prabhupada has explained that a Krishna conscious person, he knows very nicely how to accept everything for Krishna's service and how to reject a thing which is unfavorable in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada further says that he is always aloof from material things because he is always transcendental and he is always alone, having nothing to do with persons not in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness is a perfect yogi. Prabhupada has very clearly said that a Krishna conscious person, he is always aloof from the material things and aloof from the people who are not Krishna conscious. And he is always in the association of devotees. This is why a person in Krishna consciousness is a perfect yogi, because he uses everything in the loving transcendental service of Krishna. Now I am very sure that all of us have understood properly who is a perfect yogi. A Krishna conscious person is a perfect yogi because he accepts everything in full knowledge that everything belongs to Krishna, and he employs everything, including his mind and body, in the service of Krishna. He does not desire to acquire or accumulate anything because he has the perfect knowledge that everything belongs to Krishna. Then why should he work to accumulate anything? This way, he neither rejects anything nor does he accept anything for his own personal sense enjoyment. He just employs everything in the loving service of Krishna. And on the other hand, a Dhyan yogi who goes through a very severe process to attain to the topmost position of Dhyan yoga, that is to be a yoga rule. Krishna is going to describe more and more ways as to how a Dhyan yogi attains the perfect position of yoga rule. This detailed description will continue till the verse number 32 of this chapter. Krishna had earlier described about Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, and now he is explaining about Dhyan Yoga. Karma Yoga's aim is to purify the heart, by which the divine knowledge can be understood and acquired. And when the divine knowledge is acquired, then Krishna is teaching how to control the mind, because it is the mind who has to do the devotional practices. So in Dhyan Yoga, Krishna is describing in great details how to control and stabilize the mind, because controlled mind is a friend and an uncontrolled mind is enemy. And without mind, nothing is possible. I thank Srila Prabhupada, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and my Shiksha Guru, His Grace Hari Mohan Das Prabhuji, for explaining to us the most secretive knowledge of Bhagwat Gita as it is. And I thank each one of you for taking out your valuable time and listening to Krishna's words so attentively and with full devotion. Please do write in the comment section, what have we understood? What have you understood from this shlok of Dhyan Yoga? Because unless and until we understand it properly, we can never put it into practice. And in case you have any question, please do write. I shall definitely try to answer your questions by the causeless mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Now we shall meet the next week. Till then, keep chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Share the video with others, as this is the highest way of social work that anyone can do. Hare Krishna, जगत गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णवों की जय। हरे कृष्ण।